All right, everyone. It is 2 p.m., so we are going to go ahead and get started. This is the State Expedited Accusations calendar in the State Court of Fulton County, Georgia. I'm Judge Melanie Williams. Before we begin, have all defense attorneys had the opportunity to interview their clients?
I have, Your Honor.
All right, I'm going to assume that we all have had that opportunity. This calendar is for those individuals who've been recently arrested, but the cases have already been formally accused by the Solicitor General and bound over to state court. All defendants, you have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney at this particular proceeding. All participants, this particular proceeding is being broadcast over the internet. It's a live stream. It is also being recorded. That means any member of the public can log on and watch. When I ask if you understand your rights, those are the rights to which I am referring. Ms. Bridgewater, what is my reset date?
Yes, Your Honor, it's August the 8th.
All right, those who receive a signature bond will be reset further notice. Those who receive a surety or a cash bond today will be reset to state all purpose, whereby your bond or other aspects of your case can be revisited. All right, who do we have first at courtroom 2?
Good afternoon, Judge Williams. We have position number 7, Ms. Kathleen Marzoni.
All right, Ms. Marzoni, your case is 23 CR 004596G. You're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of July the 24th. You understand your rights today?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Mr. Howard, can I have Ms. Marzoni's history, please?
First.
Thank you. Ms. Bickerstaff, please proceed.
Yes, good afternoon, Judge. How are you?
Well, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. This incident occurred 2 days ago, July 24th of this year at 532 Lander Terrace in Alpharetta, Georgia. And this is where officers arrived at Wellstar North Fulton Hospital, and they spoke with Mr. Timothy Marzoni, the defendant's husband, and he advised that he and his wife were in a verbal dispute regarding their daughter-in-law. And during the dispute, the defendant told her husband that she just needed to sleep on the matter involving her daughter-in-law. And so Mr. Marzoni further told officers that the defendant became mad and she hit him with a pillow. And then while he was watching TV, the defendant took his phone and then she began hitting him with it and leaving a laceration on his head. Officers noted redness, dried blood, and a small laceration on the top of Mr. Marzoni's head. He let officers know that he just went to the hospital just to ensure that he didn't need to get any stitches. Officers spoke with the couple's son, and the son let officers know, first he showed officers a video of like the ending of the altercation, and they saw blood coming from Mr. Timothy's Marzoni's head, and they heard Mr. Timothy Marzoni stating, "Look at what you did to me with the phone. Your temper is out of control." And the couple's son further told officers that his mother, the defendant, becomes agitated when she drinks. And on this particular day, she had some wine. Our office was able to speak to the defendant's husband, Mr. Marzoni, and he let us know that they're married, they live together, and they have 3 adult children. He confirmed everything in the warrant. And although he wants contact with the defendant, he let us know that he's concerned with the lack of cooling off period and the fact that she has some anger issues after drinking. Because the defendant is 62 years old and she does not have a previous criminal history, the state believes that she is at low risk for reoffense. And Mr. Marzoni is in agreement with us in our recommendation. So our recommendation is a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial services. We're asking for an FBIB course, no further violent contact with her husband, Timothy Marzoni, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. And if Mr. Marzoni is on Zoom, I would like to sound for him.
All right, I will always sound for victims. Mr. Marzoni, I believe I see you. If you wish to make a statement, I need you to unmute your screen and raise your right hand. Unmute first, please. You still have the little, press the little icon that allows us to be able to hear you, the little microphone button. All right,
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, you can put your hand down. I am not sentencing your wife today. So whether or not you disagree with the facts that's presented by the state is not of critical importance. What's most important to me at this juncture is whether you have any concerns for your fear, whether you're in fear of your wife or you have concerns for your safety, and whether you wish to return home. In light of those instructions, Mr. Marzoni, what would you like to tell the court at this time?
Well, can I make a statement if you don't mind?
Yes, you can, but keep those things in mind, okay? Because
Yes,
again,
I will.
I don't want you to make any statement that might be used against your wife later, all right? So what we're most
Yeah,
important
no,
with
that's true.
contact.
Okay.
Go ahead.
There wasn't the anger that was exposed wasn't even directed towards me. It was another situation with other people, and basically, she just got upset and she threw a phone at me, and it hit my head accidentally. And I mean, this is a woman who's a gem. She's a caring person. She's a mother of 3 adult boys. We have fine young gentlemen. She's a great wife, not an okay wife, not a good wife, a great wife. She's an overall sweetheart and wonderful person. And I just hate what she's going through. I think it's been blown out of proportion. I am not in fear of my safety at all. And I just want to let you know that this has never happened before. We just celebrated a wonderful day this past week, our 29th wedding anniversary. And I'm not gonna, everybody has a bad 5 seconds in their life. This is not characteristic of her. And I'm just sick of what she's gone through with this deal. And I have an issue with the Alpharetta Police Department because they kind of misrepresented the process to me, and they disregarded my wishes too. And I want her home. I want her safe. She's fine. We have a great relationship. This is a one thing that happened, and I'm not in fear of anything. I want to get my wife home because I love her.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you, Mr. Marzoni. Who represents Ms. Marzoni?
Good afternoon, Judge. That'd be me, Maya Griggs. There's, I think, a typo on my screen here, but MIYAGRIGGS.
All right, Ms. Griggs, in light of all the information before me, I'm inclined to accept the state's recommendation in part and give your client a signature bond. Instead of the FVIP program, I would do the 1-day anger awareness, which should be a free course. Do you have any objections to that? And is there anything additional you'd like to put onto the record at this point?
Judge, just that our client has no priors, and I believe that the victim here has indicated his wishes as well. I think that this was a matter that could have been resolved without intervention of the Alpharetta Police Department. However, I do understand that. So if the court is inclined to move forward with a signature bond, we are in agreement with that. Any additional stipulations or requirement, of course, is at the court's discretion, but we would just ask for the signature bond based on the fact that she has no priors and the victim has shown up and passionately spoken about his perspective on the case.
Okay. In light of all the information before me, defendant will receive a $5,000 SOB per judge through pretrial services. She is going to take the 1-day anger awareness course. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and no further violent contact with the alleged victim in this case.
Thank you, Judge.
Is there anything further, Ms. Bickerstaff or Ms. Griggs?
No, Your Honor.
No, nothing on behalf of the defense, Judge.
All right, best of luck to you both. That concludes her case, and happy belated anniversary. Ms. Griggs, does that conclude your business before the court today?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you can be excused. All right, who do we have next?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, do not speak down recording again. Don't do that again, Dave. Your Honor, we have position number 8, Ms. Olu Kayode.
All right. And it's, will you pronounce your last name for me?
Olu Coyote.
Olu Coyote. All right, Miss Olu Coyote, your case is 23 CR 004607Y. In this case, you're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of July the 24th. Do you understand your rights today?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard.
The fourth arrest. Last arrest was in June out of Missouri. Assault 4th degree. It appears to be open. Got an open violation involving healthcare payments, filing false documents, 2 counts, and stealing, and a 2015 domestic assault.
Okay,
That's it.
I'm not sure I understand that healthcare payments. All right, Ms. Bickerstaff, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. So this incident occurred 2 days ago as well, on July 24th of this year at the Chick-fil-A parking lot at 1100 Northside Drive. And this is where the victim and co-defendant in this case, well, no, not victim and co-defendant, where the defendant advised officers that her and her boyfriend, Mr. His name is spelled IZUAGBE Sullivan, and Sullivan is SULEMAN. The defendant advised that her and her boyfriend, Mr. Sullivan, who is the co-defendant in this case, whom she lives with, were involved in a quarrel. While they were in the car with one another, the defendant told officers that Mr. Sullivan asked the defendant who raised her, and the defendant replied with an insult to his mother. And so Mr. Sullivan slapped the defendant, and the defendant slapped him back. And so they began fighting in the car. And that's when Mr. Sullivan parked the car in the Chick-fil-A parking lot. And then he throws the defendant's phone out of the car. And so the defendant hops out of the car to get her broken phone. And while she does that, she takes Mr. Sullivan's keys. And so the defendant, not the defendant, but Mr. Sullivan then puts the defendant into a headlock in the middle of the street. Officers noted that Mr. Sullivan had scratches and markings due to the defendant biting him, Your Honor. For all of these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, 1-day anger awareness course, no further contact with Mr. Sullivan, and to stay away from Mr. Sullivan's address, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond.
All right, thank you. Ms. McLeod, you represent this defendant?
I do, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, please proceed.
My client is 30 years old. She tells me that she holds a bachelor's degree. She does not have any children, but she is engaged to Mr. Solomon, and they live together. My client says that the incident was blown out of proportion. She tells me that she would like to continue to have contact with Mr. Solomon, and she believes that he feels the same, Your Honor. I know that my client doesn't have any significant criminal history, and I would ask the court, given the fact that it is a dual arrest, and just based on the prosecution's statements of what happened, it sounds like my client may have just been defending herself. I would ask the court to give my client a signature bond so she can get out of jail, and that any condition on the bond be no further violent contact with Mr. Solomon. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. At this time, defendant will receive a $1,500 surety bond. She's to have no further contact with Mr. Solomon and stay away from his location. She can return one time with a member of law enforcement to get any items should that be necessary. Additionally, she's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons as a condition. And as a reminder, she'll be reset to state all purpose on August the 8th. Is there anything further?
Nothing further from the state. Just to clarify, that's a $1,500 surety?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, that concludes your case, ma'am. Best of luck to you. Who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we're gonna go to position number one, Mr. Stephen Campbell.
All right, Mr. Campbell, your case is 23 CR 004611A. Oh, there you are, Mr. Campbell. In this case, you're charged with battery. Do you understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have this, please?
46 total. Last arrest was 2019. Possession of a Schedule 4 controlled substance. Possession of meth and marijuana. 2018 and 19 probation violations. 2014 failure to appear. 2013 a RICO conviction. I didn't see any violence in at least the last 15 years.
Okay,
He had a couple of parole violations too. That's it.
okay. And just the one FTA in 2014?
I don't know. I only wrote down one. He
Okay,
may have had more, I'm not sure.
okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Haddock, am I pronouncing that correctly?
It's nice to meet you, Your Honor. It's Hudak.
Udoc, okay, I've got it. Please proceed.
Sure. Thank you, Your Honor. This incident stems from May 16th of 2023, whereupon officers responded to 3960 DeMooney Road, College Park. At that location, they made contact with the victim, Jessica Jones, who they observed to have visible swelling and redness around both eyes. Officers determined that Ms. Jones received these injuries after being punched in the eye by the defendant with a closed fist and also a rimless bicycle tire. Your Honor, at the appropriate time, I would ask you to sound for the victim, who our office was unable to get in contact with this morning. In regards to the FTA conversation, he does have an FTA from 2014, one from 2006, and one from 1999 in Coweta County. He also has a total of 8, by my calculations, combined probation and parole violations. He has numerous convictions going back to 1978, robberies spanning from 1987 to 1989, and then almost just as many arrests for all sorts of offenses, ranging from terroristic threats to additional robberies, criminal trespasses, and burglaries. Your Honor, because he seems to have demonstrated an inability to follow basic court orders as evidenced by his probation violations, although his bond is set at $1,500, we're asking for a $5,000 surety bond. No further contact with Jessica Jones, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond, Your Honor.
All right. Is Ms. Jones present and wishes to make a statement? Hearing none, Ms. Wills?
Thank you. My client is 62 years old. He is a native of the Atlanta area. He is currently unemployed. So he is unable to make his bond as it's currently set at $1,500. So anything in addition would be the equivalent of no bond for my client. I would ask the court to not give much weight or great weight to any offenses that occurred 40 years ago. My client does deny the allegations. Miss Jessica Jones is, I believe, my client's stepsister's daughter. But again, he denies the allegations. He says that there was an argument or disagreement between himself and Miss Jones, and that she attacked him. She actually tripped and fell during the course of that argument. And so if she had any marks or bruising, that's where that would have come from. So again, he does deny the allegations. He does not want any contact with Miss Jones. However, he does have property at the incident location. And so if he could have a one-time law enforcement escort to pick up any of his property that's at that home, we would greatly appreciate it. So I would ask for a signature bond. If Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask that his bond remain the same, as he's unable to afford that bond.
All right. Excuse me. Bond will remain as set at the $1,500. He's to have no contact with Miss Jones, stay away from the address on DeMooney Road. He can return one time with a member of law enforcement. And additionally, he's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons as a condition. Anything further? Oh, Mr. Campbell, I don't think you should speak. I think the best thing to do is to speak with your attorney. Do you have a question about the bond?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, ma'am, I just can't make a bond, ma'am. I'm homeless. That was my dad's house, my mom's house that I was at, and I have nowhere to live right now. I have all my family's gone, ma'am, and I don't have any resources whatsoever. My stuff I own is in the woods, and somebody's gonna steal it if I can't get out to get to it. I don't see those people hardly ever. I don't want to see them. I just want to.
Mr. Campbell, Mr. Campbell.
I'm gonna think about that to the end of the calendar, okay? I have been known to take those into consideration, but for now, bond will remain, okay?
My dad had died that morning, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge. And Your Honor, just for your further consideration, I have been in communication with Ms. Falk. And she sent out an email to refer Mr. Campbell for pad services as well as any other services that he may need.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna keep that in mind. And if you would want to maybe forward that email to me and copy Ms. Falk so that she knows that you sent it, I might consider that as well. Okay, thank you. All right, who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 2, Mr. Dylan Davis, position 2.
All right, Mr. Davis, your case is 23 CR 004616B. You're charged with battery family violence with the offense date of April the 28th. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Hart, can I have the history, please?
We got 6 total. 2023, 2021 trespass, 2018 burglary of a vehicle, no law. That's it.
Okay, thank you. All right, my screen scrambled. Whose case is this?
Your Honor, it's my case.
Okay, please pronounce your last name for me.
Hilarion.
All right, Ms. Hilarion, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. This case is alleged to have occurred on April 28th, 2023 at 1325 North Point Drive in Alpharetta. The victim in this case is Alexa, Alexa Renkel, Renkel. The defendant currently has no bond. The officers responded in this case to the aforementioned location. They were able to ascertain that the two parties were in a dating relationship and living together. The victim at the time advised officers that the parties got into an argument. At a later time, the defendant came out of the bushes and jumped on the hood of his vehicle that she was inside of. He kicked the front windshield and shattered the front glass. As the glass was shattered, he entered the vehicle and dragged the victim out by her neck. The defendant began striking the right side of her face with a closed fist. The victim was eventually able to run away and call for help. Officers observed swelling to the right side of her cheekbone under her right eye. The defendant had fled the scene prior to the officer's arrival. The defendant, as mentioned by pretrial services, has a history including 6 cycles total, 5 in Texas, 1 here in Georgia. His most recent arrest in Texas was actually in this year, March of this year. He has various burglary and as well as unlawful carrying of weapon offenses on his record. Our office was able to make contact with the alleged victim in this case, and we would like for her to be, for Your Honor to sound for her at the close of my report. She advised that the victim and the defendant have been together for a year. They have no kids, and they both reside at 150 Orchard Brook Drive, apartment 202 in Gainesville, Georgia. The code is 30504, and that both names are on the lease. So we would ask that the defendant stay away from both the address that I previously mentioned, as well as this address. The victim stated that they do not have a domestic violence history and she does not fear the defendant. The victim confirmed events on the warrant, but stated that this was an isolated situation. And the victim would request no violent contact. However, our office is in opposition of that and will request no further contact, as well as a $5,000 surety bond. Stay away from both addresses that I mentioned. 1-day anger awareness, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Renkel, please raise your right hand and unmute your screen. Do you swear and affirm the testimony you give today will be the truth to the best of your knowledge and under the penalty of perjury?
Yes.
All right, again, I'm not imposing any sentences today. So if you disagree with the facts, that's not of critical importance. And you probably do not want to make a statement today that will end up being used against the defendant. And what I'm most concerned with today is your desire for contact and whether you have any fear of the defendant. But I will hear a statement. In light of those explanations, what would you like to tell me at this point?
So first of all, that whole story is actually wrong. Like
Again, remember again, I'm gonna let you tell a little bit, but you don't want to make a statement that may end up getting used against the defendant, but go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm not in fear of my life at all, actually. What was told that day, obviously got mixed up and twisted because I was never dragged hard by my neck. So that whole thing was never said. And I wasn't repeatedly punched in my face either. So this whole, like, I don't know where any of that came from. So that's just concerning to me. And
is there anything else you'd like to tell me?
What was that? I'm sorry.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell me?
I'd like to stay in contact with him, just no violent contact, because like I said, the story was kind of definitely blown out of proportion because none of what was said is how anything occurred. So
thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor, my client is 24 years old and he was born in Texas, but he has been here in Georgia for about a year. So this is his permanent residency, Your Honor. He has 3 children in Texas, 4, 2, 1 years old. So he does have to work and take care of his children. He was arrested about 1.5 weeks ago at Gainesville, and he was transferred to Alpharetta. So he has been in jail for more than 1.5 weeks right now. So because of that, he's afraid that he may have lost his job. So we qualified him for public defender services. I strongly think, I think he has to go to hospital right now. That is very, very big concern that I have. He does have a chronic disease that he has to take care of immediately. And being in jail for 1.5 weeks without any medicine, any medical attention, it really concerns me. So we strongly recommend him for signature on bond and no further violent contact. This happened 3 months ago. There has been enough time to cool off. Obviously, our complaining witness is here who's not complaining at all. Thank you.
All right. At this time, defendant will receive a $2,500 surety bond. He's to have no further violent contact with the alleged victim and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of that surety bond. Is there anything further?
Nothing further from defense, Your Honor.
Nothing.
All right. All right. Best of luck to you all. Who do we have next?
Next, Your Honor, we have position number 3, Mr. Guy Ellingwood.
All right, Mr. Ellingwood, your case is 23 CR 004612E. You're charged with disorderly conduct and obstruction. Do you understand your rights?
I do.
All right, Mr. Howard, can I have the history, please?
First arrest. It was a jail recommendation.
SOB jail?
That was the recommendation, yes.
Okay. All right. Ms. Hudak, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident happened yesterday, July 25th, 2023, at the Ameris Bank Amphitheater located at 22 Encore Parkway in the city of Alpharetta. Officers responded to a call of a disorderly person at the Dave Matthews concert. They observed the defendant, who was highly intoxicated, yelling profanities at other patrons, including children that were present. When officers attempted to take him into custody, he pulled away from them, threw his weight around, and refused verbal commands to go to the security office. Your Honor, because of this behavior, we're requesting a $1,000 surety bond, stay away from Ameris Bank Amphitheater, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while out on bond. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Wills?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 65 years old. He is retired. He receives a pension as well as Social Security income. He will not qualify to be represented by the Public Defender's Office. Given that this is my client's first arrest in his 65 years of life, he's also a native, or I'm sorry, he has resided in the state of Georgia for the past 24 years. I would ask that this court follow the recommendation of a signature bond through the jail. My client does deny the allegations as alleged.
All right. Defendant will receive a $2,000 signature bond through the jail, $1,000 each count. He is to stay away from the Ameris Bank Amphitheater and have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition of his bond. Is there anything further?
Nothing from the defense. Thank you.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. That concludes your case. Who do we have next?
All right, that was SOB jail, you said? I'm sorry.
Yeah, SOB jail, yeah.
Thank you. We're gonna go to position number 10, Mr. Cordero Williams.
Okay. Mr. Williams, your case is 23 CR 00-46178. You're charged with loitering and prowling as well as possession. You understand your rights? Is that a yes? Okay. Mr. Howard, can I have the history, please?
Just 10th arrest. The last was 2022. Possession of a Schedule 2 shoplifting. He got first offender for the shoplifting. 2018 probation. 2013 and 17 failure to appear. 2016 trespass conviction. That's it.
Okay. I'm sorry, 2022 trespass?
No, Your Honor, I believe that was
2016.
Oh, 2016. Okay, I got mine. All right, Ms. Hilarion, please proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. And this is alongside a companion case with Sarah Patterson. She's position number 9 on the docket as well. This incident is alleged to have occurred on July 25th, 2023. The officers in this case responded to 315 Wood Creek Court. That's in Roswell. That's the Riverwood Apartments. Per a call advising someone was going around with a crowbar trying to break into an apartment. The officers actually observed defendant as well as co-defendant Sarah Patterson in the vacant apartment building exiting the unit. Also, officers also observed the window that was broken to the apartment. The defendant currently has no bond. As mentioned, the defendant has 10 cycles. We're asking for a $2,500 surety bond, stay away from the aforementioned address, no contact with the co-defendant, Sarah, SARA, Patterson, PATTERSON, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Ms. McLeod, is this your client?
It is, Your Honor.
All
My
right.
client is 35 years old. He tells me that he works as a mover. He also tells me that he absolutely did not do anything that was alleged in the warrant. He tells me, Your Honor, that he and his girlfriend, who is the co-defendant in this case, they were just walking when they were accosted by the police officers who alleged this happened. My client had nothing on his person. I believe the warrant suggests that somebody had a crowbar or anything. At the time that the police accosted them, they had nothing. They were just walking in the vicinity. And I guess because they were walking close to where this happened, then the police officers felt that they were loitering and prowling, as it was said. Your Honor, based on what the warrant said, it doesn't sound as if it was late at night or at any time where it would be abnormal for someone to be walking around. And my client absolutely denies that he was guilty of any kind of criminal conduct. I know that the state has suggested that and pretrial has said that he has 10 cycles, but based on what I heard, he does not have any convictions of any significance. I believe it was said that he had something prior to 2016 where he had first offender. So I would ask the court to consider giving my client a signature bond so he can get out of jail. And if the court is disinclined to do so, I would certainly ask for a bond of no more than $1,000. Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right, at this time, defendant is going to receive a $2,000 split bond. It'll be $1,000 surety on count 1 and $1,000 SOB through the jail for count 2. Additionally, he's to have no drugs, alcohol, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Best of luck to you, Mr. Williams. Who do we have next?
Your Honor, that concludes my business before the court today. May I be excused?
Yes, you may. Take care, Mr. Fogg. Always good to see
Thank you,
you.
Your Honor. Good to see you too.
Position 4, Gay.
All right. Is Miss Patterson there by any chance?
No, she's a waiver appearance.
Yes, I actually filed a waiver of her parents.
We'll take that one last. Then.
Yes.
All right. Let's see, Mr. Gay, your case is 23 CR 004610A. You're charged with trespass and obstruction with the offense date of July the 24th. You understand your rights?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Mr. Howard can have the history.
What number is this?
Number 4.
Okay. 7 total. Last arrest was last month. Criminal trespass. He got an open burglary 2nd degree. It's 22 CP 206488. He been arrested 4 times this year, and they all for trespass. In fact, 2021 trespass.
All right, thank you. All right, Ms. Hudak, please proceed. Is the defendant alleged to be homeless?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Hudak, please proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this incident occurred on July 24th of just recently. Officers responded to the Atlanta Dream Wings located at 1980 Delowe, DELOWE Drive, for a person who was disorderly and refusing to leave. When officers arrived, they spoke to the manager of the wing restaurant, who stated that the defendant was disturbing and harassing customers, and he wanted him removed from the premises. The defendant had previously been charged with stealing from the tip jar. Officers located the defendant in the area, who was known to them for previous incidents. Officers approached the defendant and he fled on foot. He was ultimately apprehended and taken into custody. Your Honor, the 3 pleas that pretrial referenced from this year begin on a plea from January 27th at CR 00550C. June 1st, he pled to criminal trespass at 23 CR 3215C. And then most recently on June 29th, criminal trespass, he pled at 23 CR 003902C. Your Honor, for these reasons, and the fact that in December of 2022, he posted a $3,000 surety bond and then continued to pick up criminal trespass cases, we're asking for a $5,000 surety bond, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons, stay away from 1980 Delowe Drive, which is the Atlanta Dream Wings.
Ms. Willis?
Thank you. My client is 24 years old. He is a native of Atlanta. He does work odd jobs, but he does not make much money doing that. So he would be unable to afford a $5,000 bond. He does have a high school diploma, and he did provide a mailing address for me where he can receive court notices. I would ask for a signature on bond. He also has the failure to appear that was also mentioned, so he will not be released. My client states that he had placed an order at Atlanta Dream Wings and was waiting for his order at the time that the police were called. So he was lawfully there. So yes, I would again request a signature bond for him. I've also sent an email to Ms. Falk for pad services as well.
All right, thank you. At this time, the defendant is going to receive a $1,500 split bond. It's going to be $1,000 on the, actually, I'm sorry, it's not a split bond. It's $1,500 surety, $1,000 on count 1, 500 count 2, and he needs to stay away from that address on Delowe Drive, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons as a condition. Is there anything further?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right. All right. Best of luck to you, Mr. Gay. What do we have next?
Position 6.
All right, Mr. Attorney, your case is 23 CR 004608C. You're charged with simple battery in a train station. You understand your rights? All right, Mr. Howard.
Yes. Hold on, Judge. Attorney, 31 total, 2021 failure to appear. 2019 battery by prisoner. 2017 same thing, conviction. 2016 battery conviction. 2016 FTA for vandalism. Didn't we do him yesterday?
Yes, he was on the calendar yesterday.
Okay, I read this history. All right, 2016 FTA vandalism conviction. 2015 vandalism conviction. 2015 criminal damage to property conviction. 2012 trespass conviction. That's it.
Okay. Why, I just have to ask, why was this case reset from yesterday?
Oh, it's not reset, Your Honor. This is actually the same offense, but a different day and a new victim.
Okay, understood. All right, Ms. Bickerstaff, please proceed.
Yes, so this incident occurred July 13th of this year at 1255 West Peachtree Street. This is a MARTA station. And this is where, without provocation, the defendant punched Mr. David Reddy in the face, and then he threw a juice carton at him while he was on the southbound MARTA train. Just 2 days prior, and what the defendant was in front of Judge Morrow for was something similar, where the defendant unprovoked spit on a MARTA patron. So our office was able to speak to Mr. Reedy, and he let us know that he does not know the defendant, and he wasn't even looking at the defendant when this took place. He stated that he got on the train and he heard the defendant mumble and mumbling while he was sitting next to him. And so Mr. Reddy said that he believes it's he stated that he did not sustain any injuries. It was more mental distress that he sustained from being attacked in an unprovoked fashion. So for these reasons, the state's recommendation is a $3,000 surety bond, no further contact with Mr. Reedy, a one-day anger awareness course to stay away from 1255 West Peachtree Street, as well as no alcohol, drugs, or weapons while out on bond. The state's also going to be asking for an MHET.
Okay, Ms. Wells?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 43 years old. He is currently residentially challenged. He's also included in that correspondence that I forwarded you that included the other defendant from earlier today. He has resided in Georgia for the past month, but he is originally from California, and that is where his family resides. He is currently unemployed, so any bond is unaffordable for him at this time. He does have a high school diploma and no children. And even though he is residentially challenged, he has been staying with friends in the area. He does deny the allegations as alleged. And yesterday he was issued a $2,000 bond, no further contact, stay away, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, as well as a social worker visit. So we're hopeful that we'll connect him with the services that he needs. I would ask for a signature bond. If Your Honor is not so inclined, I would ask that his bond not exceed $1,000.
All right.
Just briefly, Your Honor, I don't believe Mr. Reddy's on Zoom, but I was
I
still
was getting ready to sound for him. All right, if Mr. Reddy is present and wishes to make a statement, this is your opportunity. All right. Hearing and seeing none, defendant will receive $1,000 surety bond. He is to have no further contact with Mr. Reedy and stay away from that train station. He's also going to undergo a BHET at this time.
Your Honor, I have a question.
Mhm.
I was reading the warrant and it mentions a Berry Nation. Is that not the proper person?
Miss Holly, that is from yesterday's
Okay.
incident. It's the same charge, but today it's a different date and a different victim.
Okay, so give me the spelling of today's victim.
His name is David Reedy, and Reedy is Reedy.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, best of luck to you, sir. Who do we have next?
The Honor, that's what we have in courtroom too.
Okay, so 9 is a waiver. Is 5 a waiver as well?
He's still a felony. Let me go get him. I apologize.
In the meantime, let's do the waive case. Ms. Patterson, case number 23 CR 004615F, in which she's charged with loitering and prowling. Mr. Howard, can I have that history?
Third arrest, last arrest was February, failure to appear. 2022, possession of meth, drug-related objects. That was dismissed.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Larry.
Yes, Your Honor. Again, on this case, it's the same facts as with her co-defendant, Mr. Williams, but I'll restate them for the record. This incident is alleged to have occurred on July 25th, 2023. The officers responded to the aforementioned location per a call that some people were going around with a crowbar trying to break into an apartment. Officers observed the defendant as well as co-defendant Daryl Williams, Daryl Williams, exiting a vacant apartment building unit. Officers also observed a window that was broken to that apartment. This is the Riverwood Apartments. The defendant here currently has no bond. We're asking for a $2,500 surety bond. Stay away from the address. No contact with the co-defendant, Mr. Williams. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Okay. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 26 years old, and Your Honor, she was born and raised here in Georgia. She does have phone numbers and mailing address. She has actually a job. She works as a cleaner. We would like to request for a signature on bond, and she graduated from high school, and she's healthy. That's all, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, defendant's gonna receive $1,000 surety bond, and she's to stay away from that incident location, have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Anything further?
Yes, Your Honor. Are you ordering no contact with the co-defendant?
No, and I didn't do that in the other case either.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. We are still holding on that other position. In the meantime, one question as it pertains to Mr. Campbell. The position number 1, Ms. Wills. I saw the correspondence and it doesn't seem like he's set up to go to PAD at this point.
No.
It's just one that's being considered. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna leave the bond as set, but if some arrangement is made for PAD to take him before then, I have no objection with being presented with an order to modify his bond to allow him to go there.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. All right, Ms. Bridgewater, will you review the calendar while we wait?
Your Honor, just one thing, Your Honor. For Mr. Williams, the first charge, loiter prowl, he got I believe $1,000 good bond, and then the second part, possession of a drug, he got $1,000 through jail. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I just was hoping that my client could get signature on bond, but okay, thanks.
Yeah, they're both gonna have to make 1,000 this time, Ms. Kim. All right, thank you, Ms. Bridgewater, if you please.
Yes,
review.
ma'am. Once again, the reset date for the SAP calendar is going to be August the 8th. Position number 1 is going to the SAP calendar with a $1,500 good bond. Position 2 also to the SAP calendar with a $2,500 good bond. Position 3 is reset further notice with a total $2,000 SOB through the jail. Position 4, SAP calendar with a total $1,500 good bond. We're holding on position 5. Position 6, SAP calendar with a $1,000 good bond. Position 7, reset further notice with a $5,000 SOB through pretrial per judge. Position 8, SAP calendar with a $1,500 good bond. Position 9, $1,000 good bond going to the SAP calendar. And position 10 is going to the SAP calendar with a $2,000 split bond. Are there any questions, comments, or otherwise?
Nope.
Okay.
All right, we'll be on a brief hold for position 5. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
On to disposition number 5, Mr. Gillian.
All right, good afternoon. Pronounce your last name for me.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Guillen, your case is 23 CR 004613D. You're charged with pedestrian in a roadway and obstruction. You have an absolute right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You also have the right to an attorney today. And I believe, who represents this defendant? Ms. Kim. And Ms. Kim is here on Zoom to represent you.
Yes,
I'm conducting this hearing over the internet. That means any member of the public can watch. Do you understand your rights and how I'm conducting the hearing today? You said yes?
Yes.
All right, wonderful. Mr. Howard, the history?
36 total. Last arrest was in April. Simple battery, trespass. He's on probation for that out of state court.
I don't understand what are these charges because they
Okay.
Oh, sir, you're more than welcome to call me. I'll be happy to explain to you again, even though I did. Please do not mention anything else, please. Thank you.
Got an
Okay.
open case in Superior Court, possession of a Schedule 2. That's 22 SC 185031. 2022 trespass, 2020 entering auto. Got some probation violations and FTAs and the CWAC. That's it.
All right, thank you. Ms. Huda?
Thank you, Your Honor. This incident stems from May 12th of 2023. Officers from Roswell responded to a welfare check for a man walking on top of the median in the middle of Georgia 400. Upon arrival, officers recognized the defendant from previous interactions, and the officer understood him to be a known drug user. As the officer approached the defendant, he hopped off the median and ran across the other lanes of traffic. Due to the cars on the street, the officer did not give chase. Your Honor, Your Honor, the state is concerned about the defendant's risk of reoffending. He has 7 total probation violations. I also believe that there's an open case in Cobb County, August 22, for willful obstruction, fleeing and driving on a suspended license. And then in addition to the probation violations, it looks like there are at least 3 FTAs. For that reason, we're asking for a $3,000 surety bond, no drugs, weapons, or alcohol.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 33 years old. He was born in Florida. However, he has been here in Georgia for more than 20 years. Your Honor, he completed up to 11th grade, and after 11th grade, he had to complete his GED in the jail because of the previous conviction that he had. Your Honor, currently he is residentially challenged, and I believe that if he didn't have other charges, he would not be having arrested for pedestrian issues, Your Honor. He already has $20,000 good bond from his felony charges. I would like to request for a signature on bond for these 2 charges. He has been in jail for more than 10 years, and his family members have not been able to contact him for a long time. He has no one to help him to bond out. He has no job at this point. Any bond will be already, it's kind of like a no bond. So I really hope the pedestrian misdemeanors can be a signature on bond. Thank you.
Defendant gonna receive $1,000 surety bond, 500 each count. He's to have no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. Is there anything further? All right.
Further, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, I believe that concludes the entire calendar, and we've already reviewed it. Sir, I know that you have a question. The best thing for you to do is to call Ms. Kim with any questions that you have.
I don't have her number.
I'm sorry?
Jail knows it. I'll call you. I'll call the jail.
Okay, because I want to know about resources to try to get myself together.
All right, Ms. Kim is gonna give you a call and provide you with some assistance, and your case is being reset to state all purpose on August the 8th, whereby your this case will be revisited. Okay? All right, best of luck to you. Courtroom 2 can be excused, as is everyone else, because we will be in recess until tomorrow's SBA calendar. Take care, everyone, and have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.